What's good, Tampa Bay? My boy Chris and I, we're going to talk about the Lions. We're going to talk about the Bolts. But most importantly, you're in the Sports Lounge.
And now, you're tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
What is good, Tampa Bay? It's a wonderful day to sit here and hate on Detroit. We got all the boys. All the boys are playing the Detroit teams today. To help me talk about all this, we're going to get into football. We're going to get into some hockey. We're going to open some sports cards. We're going to talk about sports betting. We're going to do in some pro wrestlers at the end. We keep it a little casual on the lounge, baby. With me, my tag team partner, my partner in crime, the linebacker next to me, buddy, is Chris Glazier. What's good, my guy?
I don't think I would have been a very good linebacker, man, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, eat a couple sandwiches. You're good.
Yeah, right. I'm good. Feeling great, man. Obviously, the Bucs are one of the last 6 teams here in the NFL, so that's a big thing when you really think about it. You know, who would have thought that Tampa would be where they're at right now, right? Going into this season, a lot of optimism, post-Brady era. Here we are, right? Final 6 teams in the NFL here on this Sunday, so yeah. I got to be feeling good. You know, I never expected the Bucs to even come this far this year, so I'm feeling good this morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. You know what? I have to stay here and say my name is Eureka Wheeler, and I am sorry to Baker Mayfield. Let me crack a beer to my guy. Baker, this one's for you, buddy. Look, for all the crap that I talk, he does have this level that it is in him. And when he plays up to that level, good things happen. So, look, I'm just the Bolts are on a streak. We've been getting crazy engagement with everything like that. And for all of you that have tuned in, hit that like button, smash that like button so more people will see this in the algorithm or whatever. But also consider hitting subscribe too. We talk about the Lightning, the Bucks, the Rays, the Rowdies. We have a whole team of people every week that give you content. So hit that subscribe button and you'll get all that in your feed. So let's not further delay, buddy. The big news on everyone's mind, the big thing that we're all worried about. You're wearing Bucks, I'm wearing red. We're ready to go. It's Bucks versus Lions, divisional round matchup. The revenge tour continues in Detroit. But I guess the first question I want to ask you, Chris, is like, look, Tampa Bay's coming into this game after a dominant, surprising 32-9 dismantling of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Detroit comes in. They were 12-5 this year. They're coming off 1-point win against the Rams. So can we play this way again? Was this kind of a fluke, or is this the Bucks that we all were waiting on coming out of the gate?
I think last week's game was probably one of the best games of the Bucks this season, if not the best, besides the Green Bay game, maybe. From start to finish. You know, the Eagles didn't even record a first down on any third down. So props to the Bucs defense last week. Regardless of the Eagles injuries to A.J. Brown or whatnot, the Bucs defense was all over the Eagles offense last week. It was a very, very impressive performance. You know, I was positive about the defense going into that game because the matchup was really good, but it was just the performance by the defense was just phenomenal last week. They were flying to the ball, the hustle, no missed tackles, right? Getting pressure on Hurts. You know, if that shows up this week, which I really expected to, we got a really good shot. So I'm really pumped about this game.
Yeah, I think that was the crazy part to me is I expected. I mean, I said like 16-13 was my prediction because I believed that the defense could stop Philadelphia's offense. The question was all about Baker in the offense. Could they get it done on the ground? Could they get the ball to the playmakers? Could we make plays? And from the get-go, that was the case. I mean, other than a couple drops here and there that should have been sixes, you know, but they made up for them. And overall, it was just an impressive performance all the way around in all 3 phases of the game. And that was refreshing, shocking, but that's how you turn in wins like that. Is I thought the defense would have held Philadelphia to less than 20 points. They held them to less than 10. I didn't expect us to score 30 points. We went over that. So that's a recipe for success. I mean, that's in the NFL, that's domination, to be honest with you. If you can score more than 30 and keep them to less than 10, you've blown them out of the water. So Philadelphia's got a lot of soul searching to do. They were coming in off of a bad performance over the last 2 months. The vibe was very high that we would beat them. But the Lions are a different story, okay, in some ways. So let's break this down. Chris, like, how do you feel? The Lions offense, I think, is their bread and butter.
Right.
That's the first thing we should talk about is the Lions offense and how they're going to match up against our defense. What's the first thing or two you're looking at in that matchup?
I think we got to go ahead and try to shut down St. Brown, right? He had a huge game against us the first time we played him this year. I think he had 12 catches, 100-something yards, and a TD. So the focus has got to be to shut down St. Brown, right? Both these teams are top 5 rush defense. So I fully expect the Bucs rush defense to show up this week. Kancey and Baya together, healthy, have been just phenomenal. Good luck trying to get past those two on the D line. So I fully expect both run defenses to show up today and be stout and force both teams to pass. So I think the Bucs defense here is going to really have to keen in on these blitzes and make sure that if we're going to blitz and bring the pressure, that the middle of the field is covered, because they got checkdowns to Laporta, guys like Montgomery and Gibbs, and some fast passes to those kind of guys. It's going to be a long day for this Bucs secondary, and just staying healthy as well, right? We've seen what this defense is capable when it's healthy and at its full health and potential and able to rotate guys in and out. Tryon actually had a really good game last week. To shout out to Tryon, I was surprised. So maybe another good outing from him today would be huge on the rotation with him and Diaby. So just bring the pressure today again. I think stick with the same game plan. Golf still hasn't proven himself in the playoffs, right? He hasn't been here, just as much as Baker, right? It's one of those things where he's got a lot to prove too, right? A lot of pressure's on him as well. Bucs are playing with house money today, so bring the pressure. Don't be afraid to bring the blitz, and if you do that, I think we got a really good chance here.
That's a good point that you bring up. The Lions broke a long time streak. Now, this team isn't responsible for a million years of failure before it, but that is a hurdle. I mean, it is something that it's a chip on your shoulder because you're going to hear about it. The press is going to be asking you, hey, guys, it's going to be the first time in X amount of years that you win a playoff game. But now they do have that chip off their shoulder. So the vibe, I think, is that the Bucs are going to come in here playing free and fast. They're the underdogs. They're 6.5 point underdogs on the road, playing with house money. They're going to come in and fly in. But the Lions offense might also might feel like they've got a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, and they're already a high-speed offense. I mean, that's their main strength.
Right.
I think, again, their point is to score 30 points and hang on. We'll get into where I think their Achilles heel is. But Goff is really good at picking up blitzes. And so if that's going to be the main way we're trying to create pressure, we're going to have to use them effectively. The biggest thing, and I think you just said this, was third down conversions. The Achilles heel last time we played this offense was we let them stay on the field. We let them convert third downs. And so as a whole, over the rest of their season, they're not really, I mean, they're like in the top half of the league in converting third downs, but it's not like, I mean, I guess I don't know how many third downs they encountered to be able to convert them, but statistically over the long haul of the season, they haven't been effective at it. So that to me is the game plan is, look, you have to cuff Amon St. Ra. Or Amon-Ra St. Brown, you have to be able to put pressure on Goff and make him uncomfortable, and keep as good as you've been against the run. They only allowed 42 yards last week on the ground. They've been a top rushing defense this entire year. They do plug the holes and try to create pressure on the outsides. It's simple, but that's the playoffs, man. The little things matter. Every little matchup matters, and if, to me, that's how they win. If all those things are the converse, then it's going to be a real tough day, because then we're going to be getting into a score-for-score matchup, which I don't want that to happen. I don't think that's where the Bucs want to take this game, is into a 45-42 shutout or a shootout.
Right.
This has to be gritty and dirty, and we have to put the brakes on their high-speed offense. I definitely think the matchups you brought up are very sound too. But let's flip that. The Lions D is very good, also very good against the run, and that's a weakness of ours is being able to get on the ground. So
Right.
how do you think the Bucs can make this where they're not one-dimensional against this Lions defense? Because to me, that's the big matchup for us, is how does our offense attack the Lions defense?
I think it's got to be. I think it's got to be a good mix today. Even though the Lions' rush defense is top notch, I think you still got to keep them honest with the run, because I think the matchup to watch today is going to be Evans on the outside, there with C.J. Garner-Johnson, trash talking on the Twitter and bringing up beef and talking smack about the Bucs, and a little bit of here and there about Mayfield. So I think Evans is going to go into this game, excited. I think Mayfield is going into this game excited. So I expect those two to have a really big game. I expected it last week. It didn't really show. We really didn't need it much last week. I think this week we're going to need some touchdowns, right? That's going to be important this week, is to score touchdowns, not field goals. So the Bucs are going to have to take some shots in this game in the end zone. You can't keep playing it safe against this Lions offense. We got to hope the defense, like the things we talked about, were able to hold the Lions to under 20 points, where the Bucs are, what I believe, 8-0, holding teams to under 20 points is what I saw. So that might be a key factor right there as well. So I think touchdowns this week are going to be the key, right? Touchdowns over field goals. Like I said, the field goals worked last week, but that's only going to work for so long. Unless this defense does play stout again, then field goals might be able to get us by and you could hold Detroit. But I don't see that happening again. Detroit's offense is a lot better than Philadelphia's. So our offense is going to have to be on point this week. I expect a lot of checkdowns too to Rachaad White, get him going in the receiving game. Get Godwin and Evans going early. Get your big players going early. Go, like I said, I always talk about go shotgun, be aggressive. The play calling last week was a lot more on the aggressive side, I thought, as far as passing goes, especially early on in the game, throwing the Eagles off a little bit. So go for touchdowns this week, not field goals, and keep that offense on the field too, right? Keep Detroit's offense off the field, keep our offense off the field, sustain some long drives, and do what you can to slow down that Detroit offense.
Sorry, I got my kid running around, so I had to mute the mic real quick. The thing is, the Lions defense to me doesn't create much pressure. Baker's going to have time. Well, I mean, I guess if they can keep Baker upright as much as most quarterbacks have been able to stay against the Lions, then what happens is they give up a lot of yards per pass in the league. I mean, in the league, they're towards the bottom. They give up almost the most yards per pass in the league. And even last week, they gave up a lot of yards after catch. So that's, to me, number one, is if we're going to have to use the passing attack, it has to be sound. They have to be able to reel them in. So look, if Baker continues to be accurate, then we can do damage. This is where our strength lies against the Detroit Lions defense. And if Evans doesn't drop the ball,
right?
We were joking. I had like a 6-way parlay, and I just needed Mike Evans to get 5 catches or 4 catches.
So, yeah.
He had 7 targets and 3 receptions. Look, you can't drop. Baker's got to get it to him first off, but Evans can't drop the ball. And I don't believe that's like I'm not calling Evans like he's going to drop every pass, but there needs to be better. But Cade Otton, now we're talking players like this that are going to have to be the unsung heroes. They're going to cover Godwin. They're going to cover Evans. We're going to need Trey Palmer, and we're going to need Cade Otton and Rachaad White and all these guys to come up huge with these plays and get yards after the catch, because we can. They give up many yards per pass. So look, again, though, this all happens if they even can create something. They have to create something on the ground, though. If we're lining up 5 wide every play, right, and hoping to get 7 yards every pass, like, it's just not going to happen. So there needs to be, I mean, Rachaad White has to get over 70. I don't know, 65 yards on the ground. Like, if they can get
15 carries
between all the running and maybe even Baker, if they can get over 120 yards on the ground, 100 yards on the ground, I think that's enough. It's enough to be able to be a threat with play calling, which was good last week.
That's true.
Okay. For all the look, I'll be the first one for all the shit that I talk. If you do it, you get the credit too. So look, if the play calling was good like last week, if we keep him upright like last week, if we can create in a balanced attack like last week, holy crap, man, we have a shot here, dude. I also think that you brought up Chase McLaughlin. I think that special teams is an X factor in this game because Jake Camarda is a beast. Jake Camarda is a huge reason why we can pin the other team back and make them start their drives from the 20 or lower. And for the first time in a long time, we can believe in our kicker. We know that Chase McLaughlin is accurate and clutch. And if it comes down to it, I'm happy with it. You know, if they have to kick field goals, I'm happy that he can come in and do that. So
right.
How do you feel about the special teams? If there's any more elaboration, or if you wanted to pivot, if there's any other like X factors or things you're looking for in this game.
So there's a couple X factors I do actually want to go over. There's one important one to me is going to be the crowd noise, right? Detroit was known last week for the loudest stadium. Players were talking about it. That's going to be huge to watch in this game as far as false starts go, offsides, all those kind of penalties. If we don't have some kind of silent snap count or something ready to go and we're thrown off in this, we're going to be in for a long game, because the last thing you want to do is be behind the chains in 3rd and long in Detroit where this crowd is going absolutely nuts, right? So that's got to be one thing I really hope we worked on in practice. And it's going to show really early, right? Because the crowd's going to be right into it right away, especially if the Bucs get the ball first. So that's one thing I really wanted to point out. Another one is we got to make sure we're containing Hutchinson on the edge, right? Guys had 3 sacks, 2 sacks the past couple games. That's going to be key too, is honing in on him. Is there going to be a double team on him? We got to make sure that, like you talked about, keeping Baker upright is huge. If we do that, you give him time, you can see what he can do and deliver the ball accurately. And there was something you brought up too, was the drops. We had 6-7 drops last week as a team.
It was a lot.
And we still won. So imagine had Evans come away with some of those catches last week, and Otten, Evans would have had a touchdown last week. So hold on to the ball too. That's another big X factor in this one, right? The drops you brought up, that was a good point I wanted to talk about, was that. And then just containing Hutchinson and this crowd noise, right? Those are going to be 3 things I think we got to really watch for in this game, because if we have a lot of false starts and we're behind the chains, we're going to be in for another long day. So hopefully some silent snap counts and some good audibles, were practiced this week. It'll show soon. It'll show early on in the game. Be able to tell.
Yeah, you think the weather's going to be? Sorry, I tried to throw that in there with a straight face, but I can't, man.
No. You guys haven't seen that one? Check that one out.
Is the weather going to be a factor? They might turn down that air conditioning.
Yeah,
they might turn it down, buddy. We're not used to that. We're not used to that. Okay, I guess. Look, yeah, it's the playoffs, man. This is unfortunately what happens. Is it's going to be, will Josh Reynolds torch the Bucs? Will Sam Laporta torch the Bucs? Will guys like I'm trying to think on defense who some people that like David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, like these are players that like didn't make an impact the last time we played them, but could be different. I guess too, the revenge tour is a funny, cool little thing we can talk about. But it was a long time since we played Detroit. Is there anything you take away from the first meeting? I mean, we kind of referenced a couple things from last time, this time, but these are 2 different teams, I think. Am I wrong about that? Is there something we should be thinking about from the last time we played them?
We shut down the run in the first game, right? Which was huge, and that's what the Bucs run defense seems to do. But Goff had too much time, converted way too many 3rd downs, too many passing yards, 2 TDs. Baker actually, this is one of the games where Baker did throw a bad interception, which we saw. We were also wearing the creamsicle uniform, so maybe a curse in that. I don't know. Playoffs are a whole new season. The way I'm looking at it, this Bucs team is a brand new team to me. If the Bucs do what they did last week, carbon copy, same defense, same pressure, which obviously I would hope Detroit is expecting, right? So you're going to have to change it up there a little bit. I'm sure they watched the film and saw what the Bucs were trying to take away from Hurts. But if they do that again, this defense is top tier. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
The pass rush was great. This is how the Bucs won the Super Bowl. The pass rush. Shaq Barrett that year against Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. Like, the pass rush was what got us to the Super Bowl. And so
Yes.
the defense does all that this week, and we can do those things and those little things like we always talk about. This team is a new team in the playoffs if we play like we did again last week.
All right, our boy Blaine in the comments here. Drop those comments, guys. Drop those comments. We're about to ask for predictions. If you got predictions, I want to see them in the chat, guys. Come on. He says Motor City about to meet Tampa Bay, baby. Let's go. Yeah, like you said, look, worst teams have got to the Super Bowl because of great defense and adequate a quarterback play, right? So look, it's not impossible. And again, I think that I'm vibe is not a statistic, but like last week, the whole vibe, everyone I'm talking to, I'm kind of gauging the feel of the community, right? The vibe was that we were going to beat Philadelphia.
Right.
I don't think there's a difference. I mean, I think we understand Detroit's tougher than them. I mean, Philadelphia had like 6 weeks of bad football to be like, here you go, guys. Like, you know. But these specific matchups, that we have against Detroit, I think we match up really good with them. And I think the vibe, again, talking to all these people and chatting and getting out there with all of us, like at RBLR Sports on all social media, at RBLR Bucks, like the vibe is that we've got a shot to beat Detroit. It's not like we're going to go dominate or nothing, but I think I think the vibe is that we have a shot here to make a run and get to the NFC Championship, which is ridiculous to think that we had barely a 500 record, and now we're 1 game away. We're 2 games away from the Super Bowl, but we got to go through Detroit first. Well, I guess with all the vibes, we could put all that aside because, look, vibes aren't what win football games. Points are what win football games. So what say you, Mr. Glazier? What is your prediction for the Lions versus Buccaneers, baby? Let's go.
The hype is real, man. You're not lying about that. I think this is a confident fan base. And number one, I think this is a confident team, right? If it's one thing I've seen in the videos, the locker room, it's that this team has always believed in themselves this year. That's one thing that's been consistent in this team. All the videos, all the talk, they've always believed in themselves. And when you do that, man, crazy things can happen, right? When teams play as a team and everyone works together and gives the full effort, good things happen, right? And that's where I think the Bucs are right now. So I got the Bucs taking this one 24-23, upset city, baby. Bucs in the NFC Championship game next week. The revenge tour continues. I love the revenge tour vibe. I love what I saw last week, right? Talked about a lot last week. It's a whole new season now. I don't care about regular season stats. I know we talked about, you can go back and look at matchups, but none of that matters now, right? Everything that matters is today at 3:00 when the kickoff happens. It's the season's on the line for the Bucs here, right? Expect the same game plan as last week. We got a really, really good chance. You know, if they score, we can score. You know, we got, like you said, we got a good matchup here. I think our defense is slightly better than theirs a little bit, especially lately on towards the end of the season. You know, they give up some big plays, but Bucs with that bend but don't break defense seems to work pretty well here towards the end of the season. So I think it's a bumpy ride, right? I don't think anyone gets blown out here. I think this is a very, very, very close game. Minimal mistakes here for the Bucs if they really want to pull this one off. But I'm confident in this team. I like what I see. Go Bucs.
I'm about to run through a brick wall, Chris. You got me hyped, buddy. I'm
trying.
How
man.
hype? How hype though? How hype? How hype? How hype am I?
I don't know.
I agree. I think the Lions are obviously the Lions. I don't think it's a stretch to say the Lions are a tougher matchup in all phases of the game than the Philadelphia Eagles were. I think that the Lions have the ability to score more dynamically, and at any moment they are a threat for big plays. They're a threat to score from many different positions. So I don't think it would be shameful for this defense to give up more than 20 points against this Lions team. Okay. It's the sharpest point of their sword. Okay. Is their offense. All right. It's just now, can our defense hold them back enough that we can score? Again, I don't know if our offense can score 30 points again, but is there a margin? Is there a little tiny sliver that we can live in that existence? Because you only have to win by one, baby. You got them at a 1 point win. And I don't even think that if the Lions go up early, that it's that big of a problem, because the Lions allowed the Rams to creep back over time. So if Baker I'm going to go into my low voice here.
Love it.
If the Bucks can keep it close in the fourth quarter, and the big question is, was last week a fluke with good play calling and solid three phases of the game? Can Baker Mayfield have magic one more time? And my prediction is yes, sir. 26-23. Fly the flags, fire the cannons. How pessimistic I've been over this whole season. I think we can and should beat the Detroit Lions today. I think we should. Like you said, if it's a if this team, if they've flipped the switch, the playoffs are on, the lights are bright, we're not waiting, it's go time, it's nut cutting time, whatever you want to call it, guys. If they flip that switch and we saw that switch get flipped, let's go. Here we go. Now, if we're not making mistakes in play calling, if we're not making mistakes with penalties, if we're actually holding down a high-powered offense, if we're creating on the ground, and Baker Mayfield is throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns at a very like good completion rate, that's how do you go against that? So look,
for success.
They're dragging me into optimism, baby. But here we go. I think, and it's a 3-point margin. Shout out to my boy Chase McLaughlin. It's a 3-point margin. We're gonna have to make some of those, but
here it is.
I'm hyped. I'm in.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm in.
I'm telling you. Yep.
And we'll I don't even want to. We'll talk next week if the opposite happens. But the vibes are good. I think I'd be disappointed if we lose this game. But so I think the vibes are good. We got the matchup. Let's go. And then we'll come back and talk about the crazy matchup from that. But again, drop your. We'll keep talking about it. Drop your predictions in the description in the chat. Drop it. We'll get to them as I see them. So, we will move on though. We've spent the first half of the show talking about the Bucks. So I hope you got all your Bucks in. If you're just joining us right now, 1, hit the like button. 2, hit the subscribe button. But 3, if you need to rewind and catch all of our, I wouldn't call it analysis, but all of our
RBLR opinions,
our opinions about the Bucks and Lions. We've done it for 29 minutes now. So rewind, get back there. Let's go. Well, there's another good team, and they happen to be playing Detroit today, which is weird.
Crazy.
On a back-to-back, but
so weird. Meant to be.
The Tampa Bay Lightning are streaking 5 wins in a row now, and I guess it's like 6 out of 7, or I'd have to go back over the whole thing. But over the last 10 games, it's been a lot of dubs and not a lot of heartbreak. So Johansson even got in the game last night because of the back-to-back. I think they're going to roll with Vasilevsky today against Detroit. But the Bolts, they only played 2 games this week. It's something we kind of talked about. They're going to have a little bit of a break, but they beat Minnesota and they beat the Sabres, and now we're 5 in a row. Chris, what was your feeling over? I mean, it was only 2 games, but it's 2 games in a longer stretch of dubs, baby.
Still feeling good, man. Ever since we talked about 2 weeks ago, we talked about the optimism of this team, and here we are. About 2 weeks later, 5 wins in a row for this team, which is 10 points, which is huge, right? And the matchup today is probably even bigger because that person's going to hold that wild card spot. So I like what I've seen lately, man, especially against teams like Minnesota and teams like Buffalo are games you should win, and the Lightning did what they should do, right? Put up 7 goals on Minnesota, whose defense was atrocious. And on top of that, the Lightning defense has improved, right? I heard him say a comment during the game where back in November, the Lightning were 25th in high percentage, odd man rushes, and now we're down to 15th. So that's a big improvement right there. That's showing that something's working. Something has changed in the defensive strategy there. Maybe it's the call-ups. Maybe it's some of the younger guys giving it a little more effort. It's I hate saying this, but it's looked better since Sergachev's been out. So maybe it's a wake up call for Sergachev. We know what he's capable of, but we see a lot of the bonehead mistakes he makes as well sometimes. So I'm really liking what I'm seeing here so far. Obviously, 10 points, especially 5 in a row, is huge at any time in the season. Doesn't matter when it comes. They look to be heating up right now and got the All-Star break coming up here in a couple weeks. So hopefully we can continue the momentum going into the All-Star break.
Yeah, let's talk about some players. I guess talking about who's scoring the most over the last couple games. Victor Hedman, man, 3 assists, 1 goal, and Anthony Cirelli, 2 goals, 2 assists. Both those guys lead the leaderboard in points over these last 2 games for this week. So thoughts on one, Hedman getting into it, and then Tony, big play Tony Cirelli, baby.
That's one thing about this team, right? It's weird, right? It seems to bounce around on who's carrying the points or who's carrying the goals from week to week, right? You never know who's really going to step up. And I think I've seen a lot more of Hedman getting involved now. His shot attempts have gone up. Beginning of the season, he wasn't shooting much. It's always better when a guy like Hedman is shooting. And I don't know if a lot of that's just confidence, if it's his age, if it's his style of play this year, if he's changing things up, and maybe he's realizing now we need him more than ever to put some points on the board with the way we were struggling there a little bit to get some goals from our bottom 6 guys. So maybe he's finally stepping up, and not that I'm saying Hedman doesn't step up, but maybe he's given more on the offensive side of the puck than he has been since the beginning of the season. So I like what I've seen from him. Tony seems to be a hot and cold player. He comes, he goes, but he always gives effort, right? That's one thing with Cirelli. Penalty kill, face-offs, he's always giving the effort, right? He might not always show up on the score sheet, but it's the little things he does from a guy like Cirelli, which is what you're going to get with someone like him. But when he can score, it helps a ton. So I like what I've seen from both guys this week.
And Tony, 1 goal on the power play, 1 assist on the power play. I mean, that's killer, man. Nikita Kucherov, man, only had 3 assists. He didn't score any goals. I mean, is it time to trade him? Is it time to just get him out of here? No, but but what the thing about Cooch though is he 500th assist all time. We got to throw out a little graphic for that, and that was great. I mean, it's either him or McKinnon are the best players in the league right now.
McKinnon's up now.
Yeah, I mean, but as happy as that makes me for both of those teams, Cooch just continues to bring the MVP level status, and I think every week we should be praising it. You got to live in the moment. You have to understand that he is special, and not just that he's special, but he is that takes effort to do that, and so he's the man. But another good Brandon Hagel, 3 assists, making it happen. Couldn't put one. I mean, he was up there with shots, but he just couldn't put one in. But Hagel's been an entire threat right now. Defensively, though, let's talk about, I don't know, Sergachev out, but Darren Radish in. What's up with Radish, buddy? Like I was like, we have a little joke in our chat about slap shots and things like that, but he's hard hitting with the stick, with a puck, but also on the ice. So how's Radish doing, or any other defenders you want to talk about?
He set up a 102-mile-an-hour slap shot. Is the hardest shot this year against was it against the Wild? I think it was against the Wild. He got that shot off 102 miles an hour, which is crazy when you think about it, because I would not want to be a goalie with a 102-mile-an-hour puck coming flying at me trying to save that. So it's good to see the younger guys like him and a lot of rotational guys come up and get some playing time. And like we talk about a lot, that's one thing to let him do a lot is these guys come up and down with call-ups and frequent flyer miles from Syracuse. And I always say it's a good thing to get some of the younger guys in these games involved, because you never know when it's going to be your time. And I think that's one reason why the Bolts have been consistently competing so good for the past 9-10 years now. We've been competitive is because of the call-ups and the rotational guys, and those guys coming up getting time and getting some playing time because of injuries and stuff like that. So it's great to see a guy like Radish getting more involved. I know he's got a decent skill set there on the offensive side, so hopefully he keeps firing 102 miles an hour and fires a knuckle puck in the back of the net, Mighty Duck style.
Another guy I want to shout out is the wonderfully named Valtteri Morella, scoring his first NHL goal. I mean, he scored 63 in the Finnish top league, but he got his first NHL goal. So my man,
cheers,
Valtteri Morella, let's go. cheers to you, my man. But look, we're making we're breaking records. Or at least we're setting milestones. We're making memories happen. We're getting defensive scoring. We're Johansson played really well in net last night. We haven't talked about JJ. Like I thought he played really well in net. I don't know if a lot of them were that tough of shots to defend, but last night Buffalo outshot us, and he was able to stand tall and make the saves, and give the boys the win. So looking ahead, we've got we've got quite a pretty good road trip here. So tonight they're in Detroit. I'm hoping the Bucks, and because the Bucks game's at 3, that's right around the corner, and the Lightning play tonight. So if our predictions come true, do you think we see Baker Mayfield and some people at the it's not Joe Louis Arena anymore, but like at the Detroit Arena?
That would be funny.
But it's kind of a doubleheader, a Detroit doubleheader. Yeah. It's kind of weird, but it'll be fun to do that. Then we're on the road still on Tuesday. We go to Philadelphia, and then we have to come back on Thursday to play Arizona. Okay. And then we have New Jersey again on Saturday. So by the time we talk again, the Lightning have played 4 games. The NHL schedule is pretty weird, but at least this one's a back-to-back. Then they have a day off. Then they play every other day. And then they get a weird couple days off to go on the road for a New York trip. But we'll talk about that next week. Do you see is the schedule messing with us here? Or, these are tough games, at least Detroit and Philadelphia, before they get to Arizona. So how do you feel about this week?
I think as long as we can stay healthy, that's where the key is for the Lightning right now. Is try not to lose any more guys. Obviously, what we're doing right now is working, because 5 in a row in the NHL is big. That's a big 10 points. So I think they just got to keep doing what they're doing. It seems to be working. Philadelphia is more of a defensive team. They don't allow a lot of shots on goal, kind of like Buffalo does. Buffalo doesn't score a lot, but they're pretty sound defensively. So what happened yesterday, the Bolts, happens to a lot of teams that play Buffalo. You might think it's Buffalo, but they're around 500. They just don't score a lot of goals, but they play solid defense. So yeah. Philadelphia kind of does the same thing. So I expect some lower scoring matchups coming up here too. So don't get frustrated with the boys if we can't put up 4 or 5 goals a game, like sometimes we like to do. And obviously the Lightning play a lot better at home too. So it's going to be interesting to see how we handle this road trip. But, they've gotten better on the road. They've improved in overtime as well. So all in all, I think everything's trending the right way, right, for the Bolts right now, right? Bassey's back. You're kind of seeing him settle in a little bit now. Like I said, we're battling the injuries on the defensive side, but the guys who are up right now seem to be filling in, and it seems to be working, and that's what's most important right now. So it's good to see what the Lightning are doing. They're hanging around there, like we talked about, and just get into the playoffs, right? We talk about all the time. Anything can happen. So consistency is key for sure.
Well, consistency is key. You're usually right on these bets. We're making some money, a little bit of this, but let's talk about what you got for us today. What are we putting some units on?
Playing light today with there only being 2 games. I'm going with the boy Mike Evans, anytime touchdown. I thought he would get one last week, but I fully expect him to at least get a couple chances this week in a big game against Detroit. TJ Garner-Johnson, kind of running his mouth a little bit. I'm sure that's going to fire Evans up even more. And then I'm on Ron St. Brown. I think he's going to score. The Lions are going to put up points. I think he's one of the ones who gets a touchdown. He had a touchdown on us already earlier in the season. He's hard to contain. He's a little guy. He's going to get his targets. So I got Evans and I got Brown, both top tier wide receivers getting in the end zone today. Put 10 on it. It's plus 275. You want to put a little more on it. I feel pretty confident in this one. So I got Evans TD. I'm on Ron St. Brown TD here in your bet of the week.
All right. Well, let's get into a little bit of sports cards. Let's do some sports cards here. So, but we'll do a little differently. We've talked about playoff and then some hockey. Let's get into some old school.
Look at that
WCW. Look at these colors, buddy. 1991, 92. Man, these are wild. These are crazy. These are going to be a bunch of guys that you haven't thought of in a long time. But Yeah. Oh, here we go. I told you, you drop those comments. We're going to get right up. John McDonald. Trey Palmer woke up angry, pissed off
He
as
did.
hell, baby.
I saw
Pissed
that.
off as hell. Let's go. So are we. We talked about the Bucks for 30 minutes, man. But drop those predictions, man. If you got a prediction, let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
let me
hear it.
know.
Let's hear it. We want to hear you. So we got Doom, which is was Butch Reed and Ron Simmons killing it.
Yeah.
Here's
Farouk.
Tommy Rich, former NWA champion. Dutch Mantel, crazy man, kind of looks like if Cactus Jack wore a singlet. There's P.S. Hayes with the Fabulous Freebirds. Lex Luger with this is a cool card with Ric Flair.
Lex.
About to put him in the torture rack. Okay, Teddy Long, player. Teddy Long. We got Sting. There's like 20,000 Stings. Here's the Red Rooster himself, Terry Taylor, with Arn Anderson. I think he's about to throw him off the top turnbuckle there. Here's Fabulous Freebirds. I think this is Jimmy Garvin. Yeah, Jimmy Jam Garvin with the Fabulous Freebirds. Mr. Wall Street, IRS, Bray Wyatt's dad, Mike Rotunda, killing it. Here's another Lex Luger with, who's he holding this one? I can't see. Maybe it looks that like ramen noodle head looks like Sid Vicious, but who knows? And of course, Rick Steiner of the Steiner Brothers, his kids doing pretty well in WWE. So we'll see what's up with that.
Steiner Brothers were fun to watch back in the day. Great tag team.
Oh, are you killing me, man? Like one of the best. Here's okay. I hope this isn't the same. We're gonna get nope. Here's a different Lex Luger with a. I don't think that's Rick. It might be Ric Flair with the platinum blonde and that really bad spray tan. Or I guess it would. Maybe they wouldn't have spray tan, but what a hell of a picture here. Good old JR. Look at young Jim Ross, brother. He probably puts that on his dating app. Like that's his profile picture, and then you meet him, and you're like, "Here's Sting." But what's great? This Sting looks like the Galoob wrestling figure Sting with the blue paint. Terry Taylor with an arm bar. There's Mr. P.S. Hayes working a headlock. Z-Man. Oh, my God. Do you know who Z-Man is, Chris?
No.
This would be Tom Zink. Tom Zink. It's funny. Here's Lex Luger in a test of strength. There's the other Steiner brother, Scott Steiner, the big bad booty daddy himself. Here's Sting in his Welcome to the Black Parade jacket. And there's Ric Flair, woo, in a figure four there. And I wonder, it kind of looks like one of the Von Erichs in that figure four, but who knows? Yeah. And then here's the Southern Boys, Tracy Smothers. I think this is this either this? I think it's Tracy Smothers. Again, Smothers and Armstrong. Those are. I mean, unless you're into NWA wrestling and things like that, those are names that aren't really brought up because they never really had a run in WWF or E at the time.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lineage of guys. I mean, the Armstrong family, like Road Dogg Jesse James, is one of the Armstrong family, a long time family. And here's, oh my God, here's Jimmy Jam Garvin, Fabulous Freebirds, baby. Lex Luger with that. I'm so glad there's not like bear hugs in wrestling anymore. Like
used to do them a lot.
There's so many bear hugs back in the day. Here's Jim Ross interviewing Lex Luger. Oh, and he's wearing the United States title. It's like the old United States title is good. It kind of looked like the Intercontinental Championship of today and of the old Intercontinental Championship of WWF. Here's Sting putting in the Scorpion Deathlock. Terry Taylor about to pile drive somebody. Fabulous. A lot of Fabulous Freebirds in here. My man Z-Man getting elevation to hit someone in their elbow. And here's Lex Luger pinning a jobber. Rick waiting for that hot tag. Sting. Who's he punching here? It kind of looks like Kurt Hennig, but it's probably like a jobber.
It looks like Kurt Hennig. It does.
And then here's Ric Flair. I don't know if he kicked this dude or he like maybe armed. He like tossed him over his shoulder or something. I don't know. And here's both the Steiner brothers together. Tons of Steiner brothers, man. So
That's cool.
You'd probably believe that the Steiner brothers and Ric Flair and Sting are probably your top guys in the promotion, depending
Back
on
then?
on these cards here, man. It's kind of here's the Four Horsemen himself, Double A Arn Anderson, Dutch Mantel, Dirty Dutch Mantel. Chris, we have to reenact this picture right here, buddy. We have to. We'll put a wig on you, buddy. You can have the. Well, you get to be Michael P.S. Hayes. I think you could pull off Freebird because I already have dark hair.
All right.
So I just need sunglasses and those sweet tights. Right. El Gigante. Do you remember this dude?
Mm-mm.
Giant Gonzalez in the WWF. He's like a legitimate. He was a basketball player. He's a legitimate 7'4". I think they build him at like 7'7" or something like that. But he's giant. The funny story about him was Jim Ross was like, "Okay, we got to have you cut a promo. You're gonna fight Ric Flair," and he's like, "Ric Flair, I kill you." And they're like, "Okay, cool, buddy, cool, dude. Let's maybe wheel that back. You're not gonna kill him, okay? But you're gonna beat him up really bad." And he goes, "Okay, ready, action." He goes, "Ric Flair, I kill you." And you're like, "All right, well, that's
there we go.
About what we're gonna have with this guy." Here's Sting showing somebody his armpits. Terry Taylor, man, could have been much more. Fabulous Freebirds here, Mr. Wall Street. Lex Luger just staring like whoa, hey man, whoa, get out of my space. Here's the Steiner brothers. Oh, with the dog, look at that.
It's about the same 10 guys.
And here's Sting, basically pleading to Lex. It looks like Lex Luger over here. Maybe he's in a battle royal or something, but it's kind of weird. But well, our last little treat. We'll get you back into this era. At least this is NXT from 2017. We'll see if there's a few AEW guys in here. Maybe some rookies. Maybe even an autograph. Ooh, maybe there's an autograph in here. Let's see here. All right, cool. First guy up, Tucker Knight. I got to meet these guys at a live show one time. Basically, they split up Heavy Machinery, and we never heard from Tucker Knight ever again. Here we go, buddy. This is your dude, your wrestler of the week, and your current AEW World Champion, Samoa Joe. We like that a lot. Here's No Way Jose, who sort of tried to make a name on the independents after that, but he kind of did the dumb thing where he just kind of renamed it. It's like it's the same gimmick. He's just taking his WWF or WWE gimmick on the road, and you got to reinvent yourself, buddy. Shinsuke Nakamura, who Kazuchika Okada. This is a thing here. Kazuchika Okada. We've never had this before. The number one guy in Japan is a free agent, and is probably coming to either AEW or WWE. Shinsuke Nakamura might be a big reason why WWE has a huge chance of keeping him in there. And right after that, Finn Balor, another New Japan guy that jumped to WWE. Dash and Dawson, you might know them as FTR in AEW. Here's Liv Morgan, killer card there. Baron Corbin, who this is his. Oh, it's a called up. So this says called up. Samoa Joe, Blake and Murphy. Look at here's Buddy Murphy, who just wrestled last night for AEW. Part of House of Black. Here's Finn Balor as the Demon. Tian Bing, who is a Chinese guy, but I don't know. I think he's Chinese. He became the first Chinese born and bred superstar. They're still working on him. Here's Elias, who just got released and is on the independents as Elijah. Again, kind of just taking his WWE gimmick. Here's the Revival. Putting on. Oh, that's Chad Gable at the bottom. There's Chad Gable getting an armbar worked on him by Dash or Cash Wheeler there. Here's Baron Corbin, Scott Dawson, FTR Bald. Wait a second. Wow. So what's funny is this is a weird. So it says Finn Balor and Samoa Joe brawl, but it's just it's the same picture. I think this is an error card because on the back of it, it says Finn Balor. Like this is supposed to be of Finn Balor
Yeah.
and Samoa Joe, but it's just the same picture as the other Samoa.
Huh.
It's kind of cool. I don't know if it's worth anything, but it's kind of funny when the printing
Yeah.
is wrong. But here are Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. Well, they beat the Lucha Brothers because they won the Dusty Rhodes class. They might have even been NXT tag team champions at one point, Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. But what a weird one. That's funny. That might be an error card.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that one. But anyway, that was your we like to do a little, like I said, we like to do a little fun, open some sports cards. But without further ado, we're gonna wrap this up. We're in the home stretch here. We're our final 10 minutes of the show. Who's your pro wrestler of this week? This week, I think I think I spoiled it when I caught him because I'm an idiot and I've been drinking too many of these Yinglings. But who's your pro wrestler of the week, baby?
Samoa Joe, man. Great match versus Hook. Man, he really put Hook over there. Hook took the beating of a lifetime. It was the best 9 to 10 minute match they could have possibly set up between those two. I didn't know what to expect going into it, but it just goes to show that Joe as champ is going to be awesome. It's going to be a fun reign. Seem to be kind of leaning towards Swerve and Hangman versus Joe in a triple threat, maybe coming up for the championship. I would think it seems to be kind of going that way. Maybe be interesting match if that happens. You could have a good battle there. Those three top 3 stars in AEW right now. So really enjoying the Joe reign so far. It's only been in 2 weeks, but I like what I see.
How long do you think it lasts? I don't know if we've talked about that because I brought up Samoa Joe a couple weeks ago, but
I would think he's champ for a good couple months, maybe even longer. With the way AEW does pay-per-views, I mean, what do you got coming up? Revolution, and we got what, Forbidden Door.
We're like 5 weeks from the next pay-per-view, though.
And then what? Forbidden Door, right? And then after that, it would be Forbidden Door, and then All In.
All In's not till August. So I mean, you're gonna have Wrestle Dream, and you're gonna have Forbidden Door. Yeah, you're gonna have Double or Nothing in there somewhere.
Okay, so
I'd have to look at their schedule, but
okay, so maybe 6 months, 7 months, maybe. I don't know if you have them hold it till All In, maybe until then, and MJF returns at some point, I would think.
The problem is Adam Cole's still hurt, and I don't know where that lays into. Right. They're sort of setting up Wardlow
winning it.
Is going to get. I don't think he wins it, but I think he gets a shot, right? And that failure is what I mean. We're booking now. We're booking the already breaking up the Kingdom, Undisputed Kingdom or whatever. It's a bad name, but you do have Swerve Strickland, who's red hot right now, and it's kind of like, how long do you keep that? So here's a good question for you, because we've seen it with the Acclaimed, is that we were all on the ride with the Acclaimed. We all wanted them to move up the ladder and beat all these people. Then when they got the belts, I kind of think they had a nice little wet blanket put on them, and they're trying to heat them back up with now babyface Bullet Club, but there's been a decline, and maybe Wardlow even had this happen to him with, like, we wanted him to win, and then he wins the TNT belt, or he beats MJF in like 25 seconds or whatever. He powerbombed him 11 times, sort of lost some steam. Is there a threat with Swerve Strickland that if Swerve Strickland's the guy, I think Swerve Strickland or Hangman Adam Page is the guy who beats Samoa Joe for that belt? It's when does that happen, and do you pull that off in such a way that you can then propel Swerve Strickland? I think is the inevitable, like, Swerve Strickland's the champion that we want to happen. So is it that he maybe doesn't beat Samoa Joe, then Hangman does beat Samoa Joe, and now Hangman finally has one up on Swerve, and now Swerve comes back and says, well, I beat you twice. I need this title. It's mine. Or blah, blah. I mean, there's a story in there somewhere, but I don't know how long you take to tell that story. Like, if Swerve ends up being the champ next pay-per-view, I think it's too soon. But if they wait until the end of the year, I think it's too long, right? So it's like, where do we?
So I think the triple threat's the right way to go. I think if you do a triple threat, then you could say that Swerve didn't lose straight up, or maybe Joe pins Hangman, or makes Hangman tap out, and then they could do, they could.
Well, I like Who would you throw at Samoa Joe that he beats? Like Wardlow, I think he beats Wardlow. It doesn't hurt Wardlow to lose to Samoa Joe at this point. Who else do you think could they throw at Samoa Joe to keep his reign alive, but still have like entertaining and good stories and matches?
Well, I was hoping Jay White would be in there somewhere, but I guess he's kind of doing it seems to be like they're doing the trios thing with the Acclaimed maybe
Yeah, I'm
hanging
still
out.
waiting on. Yeah,
I'm not sure where that's going, but I thought Jay White would be a good one, a good opponent for him. It sucks Omega had to go out with injury.
well,
I
I think they're gonna fight the Undisputed Kingdom. That's
Do
why they're
you?
teaming up. They're gonna have like all the healthy members of the Kingdom versus the Bang Bang Gang and the, well, at least not Daddy Ass and not Adam Cole, but other than that, like
And I
some,
know he said they're bringing back the ranking system too, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes. Is it going to
yeah,
stick to it this time? Like, I guess it's the predictability part of it because like, okay, XYZ isn't going to lose to this so and so because there's no way they're going to fall in the ranking system. So maybe now they're redoing the ranking system to where it's going to work out a lot better. Maybe not be such a because
I
the
just think
Continental Classic was great. It worked out
amazing,
awesome, right? It
amazing.
was good.
Yeah,
So
even
throw the
guys
rankings
losing
back,
wasn't a problem.
right?
Like, and I think the
No,
rankings help with that. And
right,
if you expand them, like, because they only show the top 5 ranking or whatever, and
right,
it kind of just says here's the only 5 guys that can, and it's like no, like even in the UFC, the number 8 guy might get a
right.
shot at the number 1 guy to get, and if he beats him, you move up in the rankings. It's like, so I think if you expand the rankings, or at least expand like, just because you're the 10th ranked guy in the doesn't mean you're not gonna have a chance to fight for the title or have a chance to win a eliminator or something. You're one step away basically if you're within the top 10, which I think is good. I think you can make stories out of that. And guys climbing the rankings, falling down the rankings. There hasn't been a successful program yet with that, but I think we're just this close to having one happen.
I
So,
like Sammy Guevara myself too. I think he's
okay,
talented. He could put on a banger match with Joe, take a loss, and still be okay. Like
I'm with you on that.
Guevara puts on good matches. Some people might not like his attitude here and there, but I think his matches he lets it show in the ring. So guy
Yeah,
like him, maybe Darby Allin, you're gonna have OC, you're gonna have those kind of guys will probably challenge Joe with Joe being a massive heel. Throw in
yeah.
some of those big face guys.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, my wrestler of the week is Eddie Kingston, and Eddie Kingston for a number of reasons. One, he is still the Continental Crown champion. He's still the Triple Crown champion, but he's also the People's Champion. Man, last night that main event, it was a tag match between him and Ortiz versus the Blackpool Combat Club in Claudio and Danielson, and with all those people in that ring, the crowd's chanting for Eddie, man. And I'm just so proud of Eddie Kingston because I mean this is a dude who, 3 years ago was like selling his gear and sleeping in a car and like just trying to live this dream, and everyone telling him he's fat and stupid and can't make it and everything. But Eddie Kingston, his gimmick is that it's real. Like, like you can believe that he believes that this is real, and you can separate, you can lose yourself in the world of the show because the character is real. Like Eddie Kingston, the character, I don't know how much of a difference that is from Eddie Kingston, the guy. Like if I met him in a bagel shop in New York, he'd probably not want to talk to me. He'd probably just want to buy his damn bagel and leave. And like, that's how I feel his character is. It's like the camera's always around him. I mean, he's a champion, he's Triple Crown champion, but he still is like, what are we doing here? Why is the camera here? Yeah. I'm going to beat him up. We're going to see tonight. I'm going to beat you up. And you're like, hell yeah. He's annoyed that he has to like do this camera stuff. And, he's not, let me tell you something, Claudio, brother, I'm going to beat you up. He's just like, yo, this is just how it is. I'm going to get in that ring and I'm going to do what I do best, which is beat the hell out of you, So anyway, that's why I like Eddie King. I think that Eddie's on a great run right now. They still have to tell me what this Triple Crown, can he defend each belt separately? If you win, you just become the ROH champion out of nowhere, whatever. There's a lot they have to figure out, but we'll get to that later on. Well, Chris, buddy, First of all, let's thank all of the people that are watching this live on Instagram, live on YouTube, live on Twitter. Thank you for dropping those likes, bringing those comments through the show. Come back next week. Let's go. We need to hear your comments and things next week too. Chris, any final words before I wrap this bad boy up?
Hopefully we're talking NFC Championship next week. Hopefully we're talking 2-0 on the revenge tour, trying to go 3-0 next week. The hype is real. I hope Tampa's bought in because this team's fun. Tune in. This game's going to be a good game. I fully expect the Bucs to show up for this game, even if we lose. I think it's a battle, and I think the Bucs got it in them to fight through. And 2 more wins, man. 2 more wins, and the Bucs can be in the Super Bowl. It's just crazy to even mention that right now. The hype is real. The hype is real in Tampa Bay. You know, Baker's leading this team. There's a lot of confidence in this team, and it's just fun to talk about. So go Bucs. Let's get this win today.
Guys, make sure you're liking, subscribing. We're at RBLR Sports all over the world. But Tampa Bay, we're going to go to Detroit, and we're going to snatch 2 dubs, guys.
Do it.
So from all of us here, we try to give you the best shows we can every week. Let's get that W. Let's go to the NFC Championship.
Do it.
For Chris Glazier, my name is Eureka Wheeler. We are RBLR Sports, and we are going to win. We're out of here, buddy. Peace.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.